Hello, how are you going today? I am doing okay. Why am I doing okay? Well, because the weather is really hot here in Australia and I am burning. If you hear me sniffing, it's because the weather is too hot and the air is quite dry. Okay, we're going to be doing a deck profile today. We're going to be doing both a deck profile and a discussion about what cards I think are going to be good in this deck moving forward, as well as some other tips that I have just in terms of deck building. All right, let's talk about the deck itself. So here I have 5 piles. You might be wondering, why the hell do you have 5 piles? Well, we have the extra deck, the main deck, the side deck, and then we have 2 piles of cards I want to talk about later on. So I'm going to move these aside for now. Let's run through the deck. And so this deck was played a couple weeks back, and I won the OTS champion. Well, I didn't win it, sorry. I came third in OTS. Big difference between winning and coming third, but still got a decent placement. It was like a 25 to 30 person OTS championship, I think. We had 5 rounds. My record was 4-1, lost in the final round. My matchups were against Pearly, Rescue Ace, Mechanicum, Vanadium, and Unchained. If I do lose my train of thought, bear with me because I am doing this just, with a really loose script. So I'm trying to keep this as succinct as possible. Let's run through the deck. All right, extra deck. Token out of the way. We have the basic, gigantic Sprite and the Sprite Sprint. Then we have the Zeus cards. So we have the Mannequin, the Mosquito, and the Soul Sweeper with the Downerd and the Zeus, of course. We have the SP Little Knight and the Anti-Zeus. Anti-Zeus will go here. SP Little Knight is broken still. Can't stress that enough. We have the 2 Nightmare cards, the Phoenix and the Cerberus. Dark Charmer, IP, and this is my little flex spot, so I put in a Herald of Pure Light. Let's go through the main deck. It is so hot. I'm sweating. I might take a break every now and then to wipe some sweat off, but it's kind of chat to mention. Triple Sprite Blue, Triple Sprite Jet, Carrot, Red, Double Starter, Smashes, Gamma Burst. That's the entire Sprite engine. Let's move on to the next part. Oh my god, I'm going to keep complaining about the heat. In the meantime, Triple Beaver, Triple Angler, Scissors, that's my entire level 2 engine. Scissors being the last one and my little flexi spot there. We have Triple Fenrir for additional bodies. Then we have the 2 deck thinners, searches, whatever, the side searches, 2 prosps. Then we have the hand traps, Triple Ash, Triple Imperm, very standard. Don't think I'd ever remove those. Triple Droll. So in the OTS champ, I played Triple Droll and 2 Nibs. I put the 3rd one in just because I'm a bit lazy right now. Right now in my current deck, I'm playing a couple of different cards, which I'll talk about in a second. I'm playing 2 Draws in main deck and 3 Nibs, which is why you have the 3rd Nib here as well. But in the OTS champ, it was this. Then we have double Cosmic Cyclone because we hate spell traps, along with Duster. These are mainly for the main deck floodgates, like VS. Maybe they might flip a Tickaboo, which isn't too bad, but you can Cosmic it anyways. And then Triple Droplet. And then finally we have the side deck. Triple Anti-Spell, double D-Barrier, and just sleeve that properly a bit more because it's coming out a bit. Double D-Barrier, and then those are the going first cards, then the going second. Triple Evenly, 1 Lightning Storm, Triple D-Shifter, Christia, Anubis, and Jinzo. Obviously, these are all Mannequin Cat targets. All right, give me 2 seconds. So for a little bit of context, in the 4 minutes that I was recording this video, my face is now completely drenched in sweat. So it feels terrible. I want to run the fan in background, but I feel like it's gonna be very audible. All right, so that's the entire deck. That was the list. Let me take out one particular card because I want to talk about a couple of things. Actually, I'm going to take out a couple of cards. So the current deck that I'm running with 1 less draw. Scissors I'm going to take out for a reason. As well as get the 3rd Nib in there. Oh, and cards from here. Alright, I'm going to pop this Scissors on top of the Hyperia pile. And you guys can probably guess why later on. From here, so my current deck build, I took out the 3 anti-spells and I replaced it with the Triple Summon Limits instead. Alright, so the reason why I would replace those is because I feel like Anti-Spell hits decks that Debarrier already hits. So basically doubling up on cards that, you know, one card already hits. I want it to be as diverse as possible, which means you have less for particular decks, but I don't think the matchup is too bad against some of those decks. Instead, I feel like the more difficult matchups are ones where they can, you know, do a lot more around not playing spells. So for example, I feel like Summon Limit is really good against Unchained, insane in fact, and Anti-Spell literally did nothing. It stopped like an Extract and an A-Bomb Prison, but that was about it. Summon Limit was also really good against, I'd say it's good against like most decks, right? Even like Lava has some application, whereas Anti-Spell just has nothing. So at least I can set something in going first. And while I'm here, I'm going to quickly mention that Jinzo is really good against Labyrinth, because you obviously can Mannequin Cat it once they summon a Dark. But you can also choose to try and special summon a Fenrir, or if you draw a starter, if you're lucky enough to draw that, you can activate the starter, then tribute summon the Jinzo over that instead of the Fenrir, either one of those. Of course, these being Mannequin Cat targets, because I did get questions in the last video. By the way, if you want to watch combos, watch the last video. I probably won't go over really in-depth combos in this video. Yeah, in this video, just because I've already kind of done that. I might do one at the end if I remember, but if not, that's fine. So Mannequin Cat on your side of the field with the sprint usually is your end board with a red or carrot and possibly an SP. If I don't have Mannequin Cat, I might have Gigantic and an SP setup as well. Otherwise, I might have both Xyz. Varies. Depends on what your opponent's playing, right? So once they special summon a monster, you can target it with your Mannequin Cat, and then you can special summon one of these. This is for purely because Fairy and Light, if they summon the White Cat. Anubis is for Unchained and Tears because Fiend or Dark. And Jinzo is for Labyrinth. Alright, now let's talk about the extra deck. So the choices that I made behind this. This was a flexi card. This was kind of a flexi card. Like, this is format dependent, right? If there aren't that many Dark decks, it's not as good. But at the same time, like, everyone's running SP, so it's always going to be somewhat relevant no matter the deck, unless they're like just straight up not running it. IP doesn't have to be there either. The more I use this, the more I feel like it doesn't have as much usage all the time, but at the same time, I feel like you have to keep it in just for the like random floodgate that they're gonna flip. I was on 2 Zeus, not a big fan of it now, just because Kestir is kind of, I wouldn't say completely dead, but it's not as good anymore, right? The rest of it, I think you have to keep. Yeah, I don't like the triple Gigantic. I know that was like a list a long time ago from Ding, but yeah, I don't like it. I feel like you can have other spots for other cards. These 3 flexi, IP into the SP. Some people recommended the Link 4s. I might get into it in a second actually, because it's in one of the powers on the side. Herald was for recycling D-Shifter, and Dark is just for Link climbing into the, or Link climbing, right, into the SP for the free banish, or you can just take a good monster like the Unchained one where you link off. Just be careful though when it goes to graveyard. I think it's only if it's destroyed by battle or card effect. I don't quite remember. Then they get to add one back. But if you link it off, then it's fine. It's all cool and dandy. What other things do I have to mention? Let me quickly run through. Double Prost because I don't like drawing 3. Fenrir is at 3 because I like drawing one in my hand every single time. Triple Angler is a bit questionable, but you have like both the Nightmares, so if you can get 2 bodies on field, it's always like a free double summon off the Beaver. Also, I hate drawing one Angler in hand, or even both Anglers, right? It feels so bad because you can't dump off Sprint. Sorry, so if you draw 1 while you run 2, and you normal summon the Beaver, you have to special summon another Beaver. Otherwise, your Sprint doesn't get to dump an Angler. It can dump like Scissors or something, but it depends on what your build is. That should be it. Okay, so our discussion today is going to be about what makes a deck good, right? We're going to go to fundamentals. So the fundamentals of a good deck, I feel like, are having a good engine, right? So our engine, so these cards are pretty much staples for every single Sprite deck. That is pure, right? The other variants being, what can I recall? I can recall Runic Live Twin, Runic, that thing called again? The Earth lizards, you know them, the dinos. Yeah, the dinos. I'm just gonna call them that, right? Then of course you have Pearly. You have Pearly coming up more recently. Haven't seen too much of that. Haven't tested it myself, so I don't know how good it is exactly, but it feels a bit gimmicky, a little bit. Of the other variants, like Going Second, and then you have like Power Spell. That's kind of like dead. That was my old build. I still kind of like it, to be honest. Maybe it has like a place. No, I feel like it's too much of a hand trap meta right now. Maybe with Thrust, right? Thrust is a really good card still. But regardless, pure, just always playing these cards. Am I missing another? I feel like I'm missing one. Whatever. You're playing these cards, and this is how many cards? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 cards in total. And then I'd argue that you'd have to play. It's either 5 in this, or 6 with the third Nimble Ankle if you want to be adventurous like me, right? If you just hate bricking. And again, I'm running the third one because I would rather have it as a body, like a normal summon body, than just bricking. And also it's a really good send-off droplet. So you have like 6 or 5 cards that work really well with the discard. Yeah. All right, so you have, what did I say before? 12? Let me recount it, sorry. 6, 12, 13, 14 with the carrot, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, you have 18 cards that you just pretty much have to run if you're playing Sprite. But that means you have 22 slots, at least 22, open for anything. And that's what I really like about Sprite, right? So what makes a deck good? Having a good core engine is important. Sprite as a core engine, I feel like is okay. It's not too bad, right? You have 3 1-card starters, and then you have these 2 as 1-card starters as well. So you have 5 cards in total. But aside from that, the idea is obviously if you have 2 more bodies, you also have the optional advantage of going into more bodies generated off that 1 body sticking on field, having that 1 level 2 on field. So as an engine, being able to spam all that out, search a lot, make a lot of random little small disrupts that seem small, but then you can, OTK them, is quite nice because it gives you a lot of advantage when you're like trying to 1-for-1 or 2-for-1 against your opponent when they take their turn. So the typical end board will have 3 to 4 forms of disrupt in the form of negates or bounces that trade 1-for-1 or 2-for-1, and then you can also get like a summon of mannequin. And we are able to play through some format-dependent board breakers, such as like Nib or Draw, which is why I like the deck quite a lot. In terms of the... Oh, don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's a bit of thunder in the background. In terms of the final like level 2, I'll quickly squeeze that in now because we're still talking about the main deck. So I have a couple of options listed out right here. We have 5 options total. This doesn't really count. This should be in the side deck, right, at best, but at the same time, I don't think you should be running it anyways. The reason is because, once again, you're building a board quickly, and you're just like kind of trying to OTK as quickly as you can. So it'll be really quick games. If you feel like you're going to lose, just forfeit, right? Just concede and just like go next. There's no point in stalling and like playing this out, because we're not playing a combo deck. I feel like combo decks are the only ones that need kind of burn to maybe win in time. For example, tier versus tier matches, those things can go on for like 3 years, right? And so having a scatter shot in the deck that you can dump is quite nice. Whereas Resonator, back then, maybe against a tier heavy format, but nowadays they won't combo as much because you have like 20,000 hand traps to mess with them. So they won't be able to combo as long, and so Resonator isn't as good. Never play this. Click and Echo, I feel like, is just a worse Ibly, in a sense where you get the information, you know what to negate and what not to negate, but it gives them a free body. I hate the fact that it gives them a free body because of the same reason as Ibly. They can tribute summon over it, so it basically does nothing. You just give them a free body and you're like taking up the normal summon, but like who cares, right? Or it's a droplet body, something like that, right? Something that sends full cost on the field. So it's kind of terrible in that sense. Ibly, I feel like has a place in the meta when there are less tribute summon monsters. But when I think of tribute summon monsters, I think of like, is Arias level 7 or 8? Or is she level 6? I feel like she's level 6, right? I know Blue Dog, Shavara is level 6. The red one is also level 6. Is that Shyama? I don't know my Unchained monsters. I'm just thinking of those mainly because I lost to it, right? So I'll remember those more. And then, of course, you have the Bystials in odd dark decks that just, special, or in this case, just tribute over Ibly. So Ibly and any deck that runs Droplet. Every Mannadium player that I've seen so far runs Droplet, even like some of the Sprite decks that I've seen, including mine. And I feel like I was pretty original with the Droplet inclusion. As soon as the balance changed, I was like, okay, Droplet in, and it's going to be good. Yeah, it's another Droplet body, and I hate that. You're going to neg, but I can consider playing Ibly. Like, I'm sure it'll still have its instances where it's amazing. In fact, being able to IP into like maybe a Mannequin Cat to special summon the Ibly back after they get rid of the first time, and then linking off to SP to banish whatever, and then resummoning the Ibly on their side of the field. That would be amazing. So these two last spots here. So Scissors and Hyperia. I feel like Scissors right now is decent in most matchups. If they forget it, it's amazing, because it's like, oh, it's a recurring body, or also it's like a Mosquito extra body as well from Grave, right? And of course, I've showed you guys that combo with Cerberus, where you pitch this as cost for Cerberus, target something, pop it, and then special summon this back, you pop 2, and then go to Gigantic, and then summon a bunch of things off that. That's amazing. Hyperia, on the other hand, just draws you a card, right? Some other things I want to mention: Mannequin Cat. If they summon a Fenrir, or like any Earth, or like any reptile, which rarely happens realistically, you're going to be summoning either Fenrir or Hyperia to draw one. So that is an option. Whereas if they summon a Dark, like you have your entire sprite line, you can just summon a blue back, search something else, so you don't have to have the Scissors. So there's more variety, I suppose, if you want to pick around that. So Hyperia versus Scissors is my current debate. Scissors currently against Unchained and soon Fire King. In fact, I think the structure deck releases today. Yeah, so Fire Kings, I feel like Scissors is not going to be very good. I haven't read the Fire King cards like precisely, but or like in detail. I glanced over them, so I don't read them properly. I'll play against them a couple of times. I'll figure out what the cards do, right? But I'm pretty sure they do something when they get popped. Same as Unchained cards, so it feels really bad to have Scissors in Grave and not be able to do anything. Hyperia, on the other hand, just always draws you a card, which works quite well, even though we're running Prosperities. But given that Prosperities at 2, it's kind of okay, right? Also, if you're Mannequin Catting on their turn, it doesn't matter if you can't draw on that turn. Just on the note of Hyperia, I'm going to show you quickly. Veiler. Veiler has applications if you're playing Hyperia as well. Maybe consider playing those two together if you want to run more hand traps and less board breakers. Obviously, you can draw into this and activate it. You can also draw into Ash, activate it. That's a once per turn though. And Imperm, you can't activate on their turn, assuming that you don't have any, assuming that you have cards on field. Because like if you have an end board with Mannequin and you draw into this, you probably have something, right? So Veiler will always be live. Okay, so I'll put Scissors back over here. All right, other things I want to talk about in terms of my deck: Cosmic Cyclones and Duster. So I've mentioned this before. I feel like our deck loses too hard to spells and traps. Trap heavy decks being like stuns or whatever, like Eldritch variants, whatever they whip out, right? Even like if like a random deck whips out a Skill Drain, you're kind of like, oh well, crap. This is really good against Labyrinth. These two are okay against Labyrinth, but they all have their applications still. This one is particularly good against Labyrinth and Rescue Ace, and then these two. The thing is, even if you're going first and you draw into them, it's okay because you can set them, and like pretty much half the decks this meta. Actually, let me count it right now, okay? So I've got like a small list of meta decks on the side. So current meta decks: Unchained, Lab, Rescue Ace, Pearly, Chimera, Mannadium. I would not say Sprite is like meta. I'd say that's like a tier 2 or tier 1.5 contender. And soon Fire King as well. Like out of those, how many field spells do they have? 1, 2. So Mannadium, Fire King have field spells. Pearly has field spells, and my friend Pearly. Rescue Ace has a field spell as well, and it has a bunch of spell traps, so you can activate it going second as well. And then Labyrinth, of course, they have spell traps. Unchained is actually insane though, right? Because they set a trap and they target it with one of their cards, and then you just Cosmic Cyclone it. It feels so good. You remove the target entirely, and they whiff. So that's like 2 less bodies basically. Yeah. So I really like these in the main deck, but I can consider taking them out and siding them or something. Just because I have a bunch of other cards I want to play. Droplet I feel like is so good, so I'm not removing them. Nibiru I think it got a little bit better because of Fire Kings, like they summon a fair bit, right? Draw, I'm not too sure whether or not Draw is good against Fire King. Right now I think it's okay because a lot of people are playing around it, especially with the Wanted spell being quick play. And other than that, maybe like Rescue Ace, if you get lucky and they try to get really greedy, then you can draw them for a good amount of value. Imperms aren't moving, Ashes aren't moving, Prosperities aren't moving, and Fenrirs are not moving. So you do have a lot of flexibility. What I recommend the most when you're deciding whether or not to play some certain cards in your own deck is to have a think about your own current meta in your locals and in your region, right? So in Australia, we have a locals where I'd say like a good 70% of the player base in that locals, the biggest one, right? A good 70%, they were playing purely for the longest time, like a little cult almost. But after that, things started to change. People started playing other decks, right? But during that time, we knew that there was like a local meta going on that was a bit different from other places. So we kind of had to side more heavily for that. Well, I would have if I played during that time. I didn't, but that's the idea, right? So currently, I'd say like there's a fair few Vanadium players compared to the US and like the EU regions. There's a couple of Labyrinth players as well. And so that is why I've cited a couple of cards specifically against them, being like the Arc Lord Christia or the Spelltrap Hate, right? So when you're deciding what to play, side more heavily for those, because obviously if you run into those statistically, you should be able to come up with better side cards to beat them. That didn't make sense. Let me rerun that. Statistically, if you put in cards for specific matchups, you'll draw them and play against them more often, so you'll be better off. Hopefully that made more sense. I don't know. Anyways, let's talk about the final pile. And there's a lot of things that I want to talk about as well, this video, but I'm struggling to keep track of everything, so it might be a bit messy. All right, let's go with why not questions, right? So why not these cards? So as you can recognize, these are all IP targets, IP targets. So this is the Link 5, Underworld, the Avramax, and the Unicorn. All of these cards lose to this shiny card, right? Talents. And I feel like Talents is quite prevalent this meta because everyone's playing hand traps, and so everyone's playing Talents around the hand traps. Also, Thrust is just another Talents, so this is kind of bad, right? You play a big body. This can be disruption, sure. This can be disruption as well, sure. But it uses up a lot of resources. Don't know if I'll even end up with a card in my hand like half the time that isn't a hand trap. So I don't really like these. I'd rather play SP for the one body link off guaranteed every time and then just banish one on field. Feels good. And that's only like I only go into IP if I have a massive opening hand anyway. So with like full starters. So yeah, not those cards. Double Cross versus Smashes. I remember this being a comment in my previous video. I dislike Double Cross purely because I want all my cards to do something. And so Double Cross being a trap going second, obviously it's not going to do anything if can't activate it straight away, right? So setting it going first also feels like it feels good when it goes off, but if you don't end up with a Xyz or a Link, it feels kind of bad. At least with Smashes, like you do neg a body, but it's always usable going first or second. It's non-targeting, and you don't have to have like a condition to activate it aside from just having a Sprite card in graveyard and a level 2 on field, right? So it's a lot easier to proc. That's why I'm not playing that. All right, final 5 cards. I say 5 cards because like this is optional. Some people don't play it. People always go for just the Herald. Not always, but a lot of people going for just the Herald of the Arclight. I personally prefer not playing these cards at all just because I feel like my deck is better off with just hand traps, right? Strong hand traps. Aside from the basic 6 being Ash and Imperm, the rest of it are like carefully picked cards that I wouldn't really replace. I'd only consider replacing Cosmic, but I feel like it's still really good right now. Like even every single deck runs at least like 1 or 2 back row cards that you can just Cosmic early on. And it's also there just for the random like main deck Floodgate. So yeah, not a big fan of these. Also takes up 3 or 2 if you're not playing this card. I think these cards are especially good with Ibli, so maybe if I were to go back to Ibli, I'd consider playing these again, but otherwise I would not play them. Okay, what cards are going to be good next format? I like Thrust a lot, no, Talents a lot, sorry. I'm very strongly considering playing 2 of these Talents in the main deck just because everyone's playing hand traps and I always get hand trapped. Sprite, like pretty much every other deck, loses really hard to like 2 hand traps, right? If you have something for the red, and then if you have something for the Gigantic to stop that, and if you have like a Nib as well, like it's over. Being able to Talent and then take away something from their hand means that combined with your hand traps, you should be able to then stop them from playing as well, right? So you're kind of playing on even grounds. The reason why I'm not playing 3 is because, you know, 3 is bricky. Same as Prost. Like, they're really good cards, but if you draw 2, it's over. Well, it's not over, but it feels bad. 3 Crows. The Crow versus these cards here. These are kind of falling out of relevance. Not entirely. No, I shouldn't say that. They're still amazing cards, still very good, very prevalent in the meta as well. But I'd say a little bit less relevant than DD Crow, just because there are so many random types and attributes that you can't banish off the with the Bystials anymore. Things that come to mind, I want to banish Shavara every time, right? Obviously Crow can do that. Bystials cannot. You don't get that body, but you do get the Disrupt, and it's a big Disrupt, which is why Crow seems really good. What else can you Crow? You can also Crow the Fire King Ponix. I believe that it has a lot of recursion, right? So you can bring it back from the graveyard or something. So if it gets banished, it should be fine. Should be a lot better. You can obviously Crow the Pure Lily target as well. The Pure Lily target. So when it targets a card in the graveyard and then wants to rank up, you can Crow that away and it doesn't get that. Rescue Ace. I don't know if the field spell is like an adverse effect. I haven't read it in a while, so I don't quite remember. But I guess you could do that. You can also just like Crow one of their Rescue Ace cards when they're trying to summon. Does that work? Is it for cost? I think it's for cost. But I guess you can anticipate it, right? If you're main decking this is. And then Labyrinth is very good because you have any of the furniture cards, you can just Crow it away, or the Big Welcome Labyrinth. And Unchained, yeah, I already talked about it, Shavara. Cool. And then Tear as well, but Tear is seeing less and less play. The day Tear becomes meta again is the day I'll be sad because RNG. And then I'll always get cucked by the mills. Always gonna mill 5. Alright, anything else to talk about? I'm reading on the side, by the way, the little script I have prepared. Should be about it. If you have any questions, please hit me up. One last question I have for everyone. That's right, it's a question, not a statement. This Mannequin Cat here, when Fire King comes out, do we have any good targets? This is to the general Sprite community, right? But do we have any Mannequin targets? I had a look on DB. I tried to look for like, you know, Fire and Pyro. No, not Pyro. Winged Beast, and I couldn't find anything that was worth all summoning. Like obviously we have the Wind Barrier statue, but that's banned. But it's a Winged Beast, but it's banned. We have the Fire one as well, but you know, they're all fire. Like once you summon it out, there's no point, you're just locking yourself. I don't want to summon just like a red or carrot. So ideally we have like another fun floodgate for them. But otherwise, that is about it. If you have any questions, again, let me know, and I'll see you guys next time. Well, my stupid ass kind of forgot to show you the combo video. I ended the video and immediately remembered. So I did a quick power shuffle. I'll do a couple more shuffles now, and I'll draw 5 random cards, and we'll see what we got. One more thing I want to mention. With all the hand traps and the extra cards, I feel like this deck does tend to brick a lot, which is not good. For example, you can see with this hand here, it's kind of terrible, right? You can't do anything immediately. So I might actually consider cutting Draw and Lock for talents. Maybe if you go for 6 here and then you know, banish 6 with Prosperity, they'll ash you and then you can talents to draw 2, which would be nice. So let's grab 6. So we'll grab the last 6 here that I've already kind of sorted out. We want cards that aren't effective immediately to get banished. Henry's not bad. But Starter is a little... Okay, well, Beaver's also very much a nicer card. We'll grab the Beaver here over the Starter just because Starter can get ashed. And then if you get ashed here, well, with this hand you lose. So grab the Beaver. Even if they hand trap it, you can still summon Jet. So Beaver effect. Grab one of the 3 anglers. And I guess this can kind of serve as the bare minimum as well, like a starter plus a level 2. Okay, and then special the jet effect. In this case, you'll grab the grab the starter here. Here, I'd probably actually go for the blue into the red, just for the hand trap prevention, because I'm scared of Ash as well as Nib, right? So you have both forms. You can also just go straight into Gigantic, but I prefer doing this. So blue into a red, especially with the red as your 5th summon. You burn 1/1 off the blue. Then let's go these 2 here. Gigantic effect. So here I can either bring out Carrot, or I can bring out my extra level 2. In this case, I'm going to bring out... Should I bring out the Scissors? It depends, right? It depends on what I'm feeling. If I know what the player is playing, I might bring out the Carrot. If they're playing like a spell or trap heavy deck, otherwise I might bring out Scissors. Also, what I think about is how many bodies do I have to make Sprint with. If I want to summon the Sprint, I can get rid of 2 bodies and summon the SP or an IP. But I might want to sack off whatever I summon off Gigantic. Let's say I only had like these 2, right? Maybe I'll go into like Scissors here, link the Scissors and the Jet off into the Sprint, and then we'll go combo off there. But here I have so many bodies, I'll just go with the Carrot. It's safe. I feel like Carrot's always live. Scissors is kind of a variable. Then we'll go and link these 2 off. We're linking these, actually. Let me have a think. Yeah, we're linking these 2 into a Sprint, which I'll put here because it's kind of off camera. And then Sprint is obviously going to dump Angler for the Beaver and the Beaver. Be careful with your zones. Summon things that you don't really care about under your Sprint zone, just so you can like link them off worst case scenario. You don't want to keep like a red there, like a red Carrot in both zones, because then you can't Sprint link into other things. Link those off. Here I could go for either SP or IP, either one of those 2, and then I'll set a Smashes. The idea is like with so many hand traps in hand, typically you'd end with like 1 or 2 cards in hand, maybe preferably 2 different hand traps, right? Maybe you have like an Imperm set or something, and that would be the end board. So with this board here, I'll probably go for the IP. What I kind of dislike, to be honest, is you are forced to do everything in a specific order if you want the full value. So for example, Sprint, ideally, right? They'd special summon something, you go Sprint to bounce, maybe like a Bestial. Sprint bounce, detach off the Gigantic, and then you can use like the Gigantic body as tribute fodder for red or Carrot. It's a big ass dog in the background. You can also use a Sprint for that. So Gigantic or Sprint, and then you also have the IPs with whichever monster has already used the effect, whether it be Sprint, Gigantic, Carrot, or red. And then you also have the Smashes, same idea, right? You used one of the monsters that you've already used to get the maximum amount of value. If that's confusing, let me know. I'll try and explain it again in the comments, just like comment below. And then you have 2 draws for follow-up. What's the next card? Cosmic, cool. So Cosmic, you know, if they field spell, flip the Cosmic, and it trades 1 for 1. It's not too bad. All right, that is the combo. Because this was like pretty much almost a bare minimum combo, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to go too much further into the bare minimum combo. But a typical end board would just be Sprint plus Mannequin plus one of either red or Carrot, or maybe even just a Sprint plus Mannequin. That'll be it. Because then you have a special summon, you have a Smashes set, and you have a bounce on field as well. All right, hopefully that is good for you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one, hopefully when I'm not sweating so much. Adios.